the 160 T2 car. From Barrington, Illinois, it's Thomas Herb. Starting 7th in the 149 T2 car. From Davenport, Iowa, Gregory Shermer. Starting 6th in the 144 T2 car. From Franksville, Wisconsin, Tim Kesman. Starting 5th in the 137 T2 car. From Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, Kurt Resitano. Starting 4th in the 30 car, it's a T2 from Glenville, Illinois, Joe Koenig. Starting 3rd in the 46 T2 car from Buffalo Grove, Illinois, Mark Bowden. Starting 2nd in the 45 T2 car from Winnetonka, Illinois, Joe Bowden. And our pole sitter in the number 36 STU car from Wilmette, Illinois, it's Joe Moser. And it's great to see we're going to have Mark Bowden and Tim Kesman back on the track battling again.
Yeah, they're going to be battling, Mike, but I just want to point out something which is very, I don't want to call it very special, but very interesting. You mentioned Joe Moser, who's now made his return to the STU class. He's our reigning STL national champion, and what he's done is he's gone from a 1.6-liter Honda motor to a 2-liter Honda motor. STL is for under 2 liters. So we've got a 2-liter Honda CRX that is faster around this Sebring race course than all of the T2 cars that are out there with, in some cases, probably another 100 horsepower, maybe more than this car, also without any wings or anything along those lines. So the fact he's just absolutely wheeling the heck out of that car. Now, he did last night post up on Facebook a funny little post to say that they were taking out the qualifying head gasket and putting in the race head gasket on that car. So we're going to have to see how that Honda CRX
I'm not
performs.
a mechanic.
So obviously they're having some engine issues.
Greg, I'm not a mechanic, but I never knew there was a qualifying head gasket and a racing head gasket.
Like I said, it might have been a funny post. I'm sure it wasn't so funny for his crew that was doing the work on the car last night.
Yeah, I know that.
So as they're coming down here and getting ready to take the start, also a couple other drivers to look for.
We got a green flag.
Actually, I'll leave it with you.
We got a green flag. They are off and running. And let me tell you something. This looks like the parkway around BC because they are 3 and 4 wide, the middle of the pack. Joe Moser has the early lead. Bowden, Joe Koenig, Mark Bowden, Kurt Resitano, your top 5 as they go down to 1.
All right, and as they come down into 1, we've got first Joe Moser, first car, and hard to miss him, that Honda CRX. The number 45 car, Joe Bowden, running in second. He is your leader now in T2. About 3 car lengths back is Mark Bowden, who's got around Joe Koenig, then Kurt Resitano, and Tim Kesman in the 144 car. And yeah, it is pretty packed up. We're going 3 wide towards the rear of the field with a whole gaggle of STL Mazda Miatas trying to make their way through, and probably only going through at about 30 miles an hour because they've still compressed down. Brian, do we have you over there?
Don't know, but I think Bowden has passed Moser for their overall race lead here, going down towards a hangar turn now. And it looks like Joe Koenig, Mark Bowden still holding in the same position, so they should be coming back to you, Greg.
Yeah, and you're right. That's Joe Bowden in the number 45 blue Porsche 911. He has gotten around Joe Moser in his Honda CRX. Now, it is quite a way back to the next STU car. That is Jorge Ortiz. He started in, I believe, 10th position overall. But right now, that little Honda CRX is sitting right in a gaggle of T2 cars. We've got right behind Moser, we've got Mark Bowden's 46 Porsche. Then we've got the BMW of Joe Koenig, then Resitano and Kesman. And still, side by side back from there, where we've got Brian Shermer, Herb, and then our second place runner in SDU, Jorge Ortiz. We'll jump back to the SDL race a little bit later, but we'll keep up here at the front and over to you, Bob.
Right, as we are seeing our cars coming down the Ullman Straight, about halfway down. Joe Moser has been shuffled back, as you mentioned, by car number 45, Joe Bowden. But he is still holding his own, and he has got in kind of a Porsche sandwich right now as he's coming underneath the Sebring Bridge and then over to the Michelin Bridge. Mike, it looks like a Honda sandwich there.
Yes, it does as they go by me here, and I'll tell you, it's pretty much single file now. Here is the way they're running down as they go by. Joe Bowden is your leader. Moser second. Mark Bowden still third. Joe Koenig 4th. Kurt Resitano 5th. Tim Kesman 6th. Brian LaCroix up to 7th. Greg Shermer 8th. Thomas Herb 9th. Pat Womack is in 10th. Greg?
All right, and as they make their way through turn 3, talked about the Moser coming back to STU. He was actually on the podium in STU in a Honda Prelude, in what they consider to be a big bore Honda, 2.2-liter Honda, back in at Mid-Ohio in 2016. Moser for years is known for his driving Honda CRXs, so it's kind of like old home week now in that car. He took the win at Homestead just a week ago. Now, interesting though, Paul Azon, the number 173 BMW, he is your reigning national champion in the class. He is currently running third in that class, all the way back into 14th overall. So you can see what the difference is there between Moser and Ortiz and Azon. Ortiz running 13th, Azon running 14th. So we'll jump back up to the front of the field here as they come down out of turn 11 over towards turn 12, tower turn, and onto the Flying Fortress straight. It is still Joe Bowden, your leader, then Moser, then Mark Bowden. Mark Bowden, your reigning national champion in T2. Then another 5 car lengths back to Joe Koenig, and then Kurt Rositano, and then Tim Kesman. So a lot of the old school runners in T2. Let's keep up with these guys for another lap, and then we'll jump a little bit further back to you. Bob, our leaders will be coming onto the Ulman Straight, and back over to you.
And they are Joe Bowden, Joe Moser, Mark Bowden, as we mentioned. It's the Bowden and Honda sandwich here as they come through. Moser is sticking right on the backside of Joe Bowden, and as they compress for the turn 17, Mark Bowden comes back into it. Koenig and Resitano and Kesman all there as well as they come under the Michelin Bridge and over to Mike.
All right, things are heating up at the front of the field again now, as Joe Moser said, all right, Bowden, you've led enough. I want it back. He is right on his tail at the start-finish line, and I mean pushing him down that front stretch. He wants to take the overall lead right back. Mark Bowden, about 0.8 of a second behind Moser, about 2-3 car lengths. He's got that T2 car humming with Joe Koenig right behind him. So we got 3 T2s at the front of the field. Moser in that STU is in that sandwich, correct?
All right, Mike, and as they came out of turn 3 heading towards turns 4 and 5, Moser actually came down the inside to try to attempt the pass on Joe Bowden going into turn 3, just did not have the juice. Now, the one advantage that Bowden's car has over that Honda is much better brakes. And they weigh a lot more, but it can stop a lot sooner. And so Bowden going deep on the brakes. But what I'm going to do now, I want to jump very quickly back over to the STL race because we've got Danny Stade, who is currently our leader in STL, and he has got right behind him Celine Roland Ray Philibert in T3 and STU. Dane has really stretched himself out in the STL field, as you would expect. We'll jump over to some of our other classes in just a moment because Dane now, he had Marcos Vento qualify very close to him, but Vento has kind of gotten sucked up by this huge 74 car field, and he's falling back. So let's jump up to the front of the field, going now down into turn 14 and 15. It is Joe Bowden once again and Joe Moser. Both of those cars have stretched out and away from Mark Bowden and Joe Koenig, and actually opened up about a 7-car length lead over our 3rd and 4th place cars overall. Bob, they should be coming to you now.
As they come through turn 16, Greg, they are doing exactly that. Joe Bowden, Joe Moser pulling away, but as Mark Bowden Porsche gets wound up and Koenig as well, we're going to see a little bit more. Now, it looks like as they get through about halfway down the straight, Joe Bowden pulls about 10 car lengths away from Moser, and Mark Bowden gets up right behind Moser, and Joe Koenig and Resitano also getting up close as well. But there's a space between Bowden and Moser this time. Mike, it's over to you, buddy.
All right, the 45 goes by me, and he's got a pretty good lead now, about 3 or 4 car lengths over Joe Moser. And then Mark Bowden now really closing in on Moser for that 2nd overall spot.
Mike, let me jump in here real quick. Mike, let me jump in. We have gone to a full course caution, and I'm still trying to figure out what the reason for that is. But, of course, things have closed up in the front, and that is because Joe Bowden and everybody following are now behind the safety car, making their way down to turn 3. So I think we've still got a lot of cars that are probably under speed coming down the front straight.
Yes,
As a
they
matter of fact,
are.
we have one car that just went off coming out of turn 1, came off into the grass. I'll get that number in just a minute.
All right, so
But,
we are. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but it appears as though we're under full course caution.
Yes, we are now. They're holding it here on the starter stand on the side of the stand, so I didn't see it. So it was a good pickup there, Greg. Thanks for announcing that. All right, so we're going to try to get Mr. Donati back into work. Wake him up and put him back to work, as our safety car now is leading the field between turn 6 and down into turn 7. Heading to the mobile bridge right about now, and we're going to bring in Mr. Brian Donati.
I tell you what, Mike, I need that double yellow.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I tell you what, we're just going through all kinds of stuff through here.
All right, well,
I think we got it figured out.
All right, well, you should be seeing them come around 7 right now.
Yeah, they are. They're coming through turn 7 right now, but they are definitely in the double yellow position here, followed by the pace car again. Getting a lot of feedback in this microphone, so we're going to try to fix that real quick. So I'm going to send it back to you guys. But I will tell you one thing: as we look at the cars coming through here, that number 70 car, Joe Keating, that's got some rear end damage there. So looks like there is some contact, and you may have talked about that.
All right, Greg, do you have any idea what is the cause of this double yellow?
Yeah, I'm still trying to pick it up here.
Okay.
Brian, unfortunately, or probably not Brian, Mike, but still have not got word for it. As I'm scanning the track on this side, I don't see, I haven't been able to see any emergency vehicles responding on the back side of the course.
All right, so here's the deal. We've got 14 and a half minutes left in this race. Joe Bowden is your overall leader. Joe Moser, our STU leader, running second. Then it's Mark Bowden, Joe Koenig, Kurt Rizzitano, Tim Kesman, Brian LaCroix, Gregory Shermer, Thomas Herb, Patrick Womack. That rounds out your top 10. Everybody is a T2 car with the exception of Moser. So let's look down a little bit. John Yaros, I'm not seeing what class he's in, Greg. He's running 13th. Our STU leader or our second place STU leader runner is Paul Azan in 15th, so Moser's got a huge lead.
Yeah, Mike, John Yaros is a T2 car.
Okay.
In a T2 Chevy Camaro. And I believe he is running currently in class. He is,
would be 12.
Let me take a look here. Yeah, he's currently running 12th. Yeah, that would make sense, seeing that the only car that is in the T2 up in front of the field is our
That's the only way I figured it out.
Car of Joe Moser. Yeah, there you go. Not that bad. He's got Matt O'Toole right behind him. Here, tell you what. Why don't we go and I'll give like the top 10 in each class.
That sounds
right now, and I'll try and I'll try to give out the gaps. Although the gaps aren't going to be all that accurate since we're under full course caution, obviously. We'll start off with T2 with Joe Bowden, then Mark Bowden, Joe Koenig, Kurt Rizzitano 4th, Tim Kesman 5th, Brian LaCroix, Greg Shermer, Tom Herb, Pat Womack, and Ray Mason. In T3, Celine Rowan, and we'll talk about Celine in just a little bit.
Well, we're
Brett
back to
Williams,
green already, Greg.
Second.
We're back to green, so
hey,
whatever.
Right, well, yeah.
All right, so it's Joe Bowden, Joe Moser, Mark Bowden, Joe Koenig, Kurt Rizzitano. You heard them names a few times, and they're going to stay that way for a little bit more. As we are back under green here, and our leaders are heading over to Greg again.
Yeah, well, Joe Moser got a great start, took the lead, and he is now side by side with Joe Bowden coming through turn 3, and Joe Moser goes around the outside of turn 3 to hold on to the position over the Porsche 911 of Joe Bowden. Pretty great move. You can see Bowden go. He knew he was going to try and set Moser up for the pass. As I said, those Porsches, great braking, and Moser just held firm.
Not so fast, Greg. Not so fast as Moser falls back to second going into turn number 7. Bowden got around him. Brian?
Yeah, you're right, Mike. As he got around him there, it is now Joe Bowden ahead of Joe Moser. And I tell you what, that's forcing him to get a little bit deeper into the braking zone, and that's what will able to compel him to go all the way around. So, Greg, as they come over to you, you'll see Bowden and then Moser.
Yeah, and that's exactly where Joe Bowden had gotten around Moser the last time around. Let's try and, I was going to say, I wanted to shift back, actually, as I was mentioning T3. And the battle between Celine Roland in his Global MX-5 Cup car and Brent Williams in his Nissan 370Z. I'm trying to see where they are. They're actually coming out of turn 12 right now onto the straight. And it is definitely a good battle there. Now, Celine Roland, he took the win on Sunday at Homestead last week. On Saturday, his father actually took the win. I was talking to Brian during qualifying. The first time we were here back in 2017, I got confused because I thought Celine Roland was in two different places on the track, and it didn't spec me on it. Now, of course, wasn't the case. I've been doing some iRacing with Celine. Absolutely great guy. He's going to be running in the Global MX-5 Cup with Hickson Motorsports. I believe he signed a full-year package with them, and he'll be at Daytona in just a few weeks for the weekend of the 24th. Bob, they should be coming to you now.
Looking for him as we speak. Okay, and Roland is by you, as is Denny Stain. So, Mike?
Yep, okay, well, we got it here now. Okay, so everybody pretty much by, and it looks like our leaders right now are, well, I'll keep the call right now because Moser and Bowden, they are nose and tail going down that stretch between the Corvette bridge and the Mobile bridge. But now it looks like Bowden starts to pull away by about 3 car lengths, and Mark Bowden and Kurt Resitano, they are drafting each other, and they are catching Moser now, as they are only about a car length and a half behind him. I'm going to send it over to Brian.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mike, you're right. You've got Joe Bowden again. It's those Porsches being able to get a little bit deeper in the braking zone, and that's allowing Mark Bowden and Kurt Resitano to pull up on the back end of Joe Moser. But as they get through this technical part and they get over to Greg, that's why I think you're going to see Joe Moser catch him, Greg.
All right, yeah, that is definitely the case. Now, I'll tell you, though, big change in that field at the front, and that was the number 70 car, Joe Koenig. He was running 4th overall. He got very loose coming out of turn 3, and he is now dropped back behind Kurt Resitano and Tim Kesman. So drop him now back into 7th position, right ahead of Brian McCroy, as they now make their way down the Flying Fortune straight. Our leaders, Joe Bowden and Joe Moser, coming around turn 16 and over to Bob.
And we're watching as our overall leaders come up the Ullman Straight. It is, as you mentioned, Greg Bowden, Joe Moser, as they are about, right now, looks like about 5 to 7 car lengths apart. It's another 10 car lengths back before they compress into this turn to Mark Bowden, and then, of course, Kurt Resitano. They compressed and now expanded a little bit. It's still Bowden, it's Moser as they come under the Michelin Bridge. Head over to Mike.
All right, they by me it is side by side now, right past the start-finish line. Moser wants to lead back from Joe Bowden, and he's making a move going down the front stretch. Mark Bowden, Kurt Resitano still drafting each other. Now add Tim Kesman into that, as he has run the fastest lap in the race at 2:22.76. Greg, you're going to have to let us know who's in the lead, Bowden or Moser.
It is still Joe Bowden in the lead. Mark Bowden all over, Joe Moser all over the back, and it almost looks as though that little CRX, which I might add, CRXs do not exactly have the stoutest of front bumpers. Looks like he may be pushing that Porsche underneath the pedestrian bridge there by back over the field.
All right, we've got a change for 3rd position, too, as Kurt Resitano has gotten around Mark Bowden. Brian, they're coming to you.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mike, I was hoping you'd ask me who was going to be the lead, and I was going to tell you it was going to be a Joe. Wasn't going to tell you which one. Looks like it's definitely going to be Joe Bowden. Moser drops back a little bit, then Resitano into 3rd, and then you've got Mark Bowden and Tim Kesman. Tim Kesman right on that back bumper as they go into turn 10, into that hard braking zone right-hander. Kesman right on the back bumper of Mark Bowden. Greg, I tell you what, you're going to see a good one over there.
All right, as they come now down over towards the tower turn, Joe Bowden now with almost a 5 car length lead over Joe Moser. Right behind Joe Moser, though, it is the number 137 car of Kurt Resitano. And Resitano in that silver Corvette definitely has more horsepower than the little CRX. Resitano drives right by Joe Moser, now under braking going into the chicane over by turn 14. So move Kurt Resitano now up into 2nd place overall. Drop Joe Moser, our STU leader, back a little bit from there. And I'll tell you though, Bob, what we're going to do, I want to drop back to that T3 race coming through turn 12. Going on to the Flying Fortress straight now is the bright orange Mazda MX-5. That is, I believe, the number 43 car. And that should be, well, I thought that was Celine Roland. I'll tell you what, Bob, I'll pass it back up to you.
Okay. Well, our overall leaders are underneath the bridge. Mike, and I'm going to pass it on over to you.
All right, well, we've got the leaders go by here, and it's still no change there. It is Joe Bowden, Kurt Resitano trying to close in and try to take over that lead. Attention to pit paddock, attention to pit paddock. First call to the grid from Race Group 6, Spec Racer Ford 3. First call to the grid, Race Group 6, Spec Racer Ford 3. Greg, you're going to see a great battle because Resitano is outrunning Bowden by over half a second a lap.
Absolutely. We've got...
Jump in here real quick. It does look like we're going to go through a waving yellow and a black flag all. We've had some heavy contact down in turn 10. Looks like somebody may have lost some brakes going in there and backed into the tire wall on driver's left. Emergency vehicles are going out now, but it was some heavy contact there. Can't give you a number, but it looked like it may have been one of the Honda Civics.
Yeah, and we have this weekend a very large contingent of STL cars and STU cars. A lot of them came from Puerto Rico, very heavily Honda based here. I might also add, Bob, and I apologize for that last lap, the orange 43 Miata, that was actually Atanasio for the second in T3. He was actually right behind the Hickson car of Celine Roland. We'll pick them up a little bit later, but as Brian mentioned, we are going to a black flag condition. They are going to bring the cars back and have them come down the pit lane where they will try to set them back up. And I believe, Mike, we only had about 4 minutes left to go in the race, so we don't know how this is going to finish up.
Well, it's coming up on 4 minutes right now, so time is definitely a factor here in this race. So let's kind of reset the top 10 in the field here and see. We already know that only one of them is an STU car. It's Joe Bowden in the lead, Kurt Resitano second, Mark Bowden third, Joe Moser in that STU is fourth, Tim Kesman fifth, Joe Koenig sixth, Ray Mason seventh, Gregory Shermer eighth, Thomas Herb ninth, Patrick Womack is running in 10th. And we look a little farther back. Our second STU driver, Paul Azan, is running in 14th, and Tom Noble, our third STU driver, is in 16th overall. If we look back a little bit farther, Danny Stain, 22nd overall. He's the top runner in STL. And next STL guy is Marcos Ventos in 29th. Our T3 leader, as Greg has been saying, is Celine Roland. He's running 25th. Our next T3, Joe Anastasio, running in 28th. So then Frank Garcia, 31st. That's our third T3 driver. And Amy Mills, our third STL driver, running in 20th or 30th, right behind Marcus Ventos. So it should be a good race going there for that second spot on the podium.
Yeah, and Mike, let's not forget at T4.
Yep. Go ahead.
Where we've got Chiho in the number 06 BMW 320. He's leading, for us, hometown hero, Chris Windsor, the number 21 Mazda MX-5 out of Vermont, Maryland. At the line, had about a 13-second gap back. Then Sergio Sloman, Jeremy Butts, Ken Payson, and currently running 6th, and he's showing us being a lap down, is John Heinrichsey, who I believe is our reigning national champion.
Well, Heinrichsey, about 2 laps ago, I saw him going down pit road, so he had pulled off. And he must have been having some issues with the car, so he is out of the race.
All right, so the entire field has gone by here onto the Flying Fortress straight, and I guess they're probably down by Bob, probably heading.
Well, they're on pit road
at this point.
They're on pit road right now, getting lined up. We are down to 2 minutes left. Just under 2 minutes now left in this race. Brian, how's it looking over there for a cleanup?
Well, Mike, I'm not really sure how long it's going to be. I do know that there was a lot of debris that came off the back end of that car, so it does look like, I'm looking through the binoculars now, it looks like they're starting to get everything there, but it's going to take a couple minutes to remove the vehicle. Actually, they may have already removed the vehicle, but the tire barrier is pretty well beat up, so it's going to take us some time to get that fixed.
And I see one of those giant forklifts heading over there now, so